Distressing is a technique that creates lots of texture and contrast in your basic paint job. It's very easy and fun, and the results are pretty interesting to say the least. This type of texture can be often seen on real vehicles, but because there are dozens of weathering techniques that will tone it down, it has to be slightly over the top. So if you're working on a Soviet tank model, keep watching. And if not, I hope it'll stick around anyway. Hey guys, Uncle Nightshift here. So, I already did this type of paint work on this channel, but I think it deserves a more detailed tutorial. Our demonstration piece will be this 1/72 scale KV220-2 from PST, which I got from a friend, and I tried to improve the build in last week's video. It's always nice when you don't have to hold your model directly while painting. For this purpose I use wooden clothespins with a small blob of blue tack. They make a decent painting handle and are easy to remove at any time. Priming your model is a good habit. It's not always necessary, but you won't ruin anything with it. It'll give you a nice light grey uniform coat and an excellent surface for the upcoming paint layers. In this case I'm using Mr. Hobby primer from a spray can. With a small model like this I prefer more control, which means spraying it into a cup, adding a few drops of lacquer thinner, okay these are pretty large drops but whatever, and then pouring it into my airbrush. It's always important to wash your model with soapy water before you start covering it with primer or paints. Skin oil and various dust particles can negatively affect the paint adhesion, which can result in your tediously applied camouflage starting to flake off later down the road when you're adding washes and other fancy techniques. With the primer applied, the model looks like a, CGI tank without textures. Let's now take a glossy black paint and spray it into the most shadowed parts of the tank. This is a safety measure of sorts, because later when you're spraying the camouflage paint and you accidentally find yourself having a hard time getting into that one tight corner, there won't be a light grey primer showing through, but rather a black paint, which will act as a fake shadow. You can completely skip this step by spraying the model with black primer. That's actually a pretty good option and makes me wonder why I'm not doing it too. With the model prepared for the actual painting, let's start with the actual painting. I normally use this Mr. Paint 4BO, which I think is the best one on the market, but the bottle is almost empty and it wouldn't be enough to cover the entire model. So instead I'll mix these two paints. I already used this mixture once in 2011 and felt like it's a solid Russian base color. You should mix them in about 50-50 ratio and then thin the mixture down with lacquer thinner in about, I'd say about 60% paint, 40% thinner. The result is a nice, slightly desaturated green which could work on its own, but of course we'll use it as a bottom layer for our textured paint work. After we're done we can clean the airbrush, fill it with chipping fluid and spray it over the entire model in 1 or 2 layers. One coat is usually enough, but if you want to make sure everything will work as intended, then just add one more. Of course you'll have to wait for the first coat to dry completely before applying the next one. Now take the same paints, but this time use 8 parts sky and 2 parts nado green. This is our second layer of more faded and weathered paint. It needs to be significantly lighter than the base coat because otherwise the contrast wouldn't be strong enough and all of the effects would disappear under layers of weathering effects. You need to apply this paint in a thin uneven layer so the paint will go down easily. I'm for example spraying it in this sort of cloudy pattern. It's just, some simple patches of paint, nothing special. I mean, you're not creating an artwork or building a spaceship. But what is special is the next step. Right after you're done cleaning your airbrush, you can take some clean and wet tap water and a fine bristled paintbrush and start removing the paint. Water will activate the chipping fluid underneath, which will lift the light green paint, and that will make it possible to remove. I know, when you put it into words like that it sounds like some scientific mumbo jumbo, but it's super simple. And although we are using products with names such as chipping fluid, the effect we're creating doesn't represent actual chipping, like when the paint has chipped away exposing the metal underneath. This effect represents those random variations in the paint which can be observed on real vehicles. This can be caused by uneven layers of dirt, grime and dust, and also by things such as the tank crew or infantry walking on top of the tank, or tree branches scraping against the surface and all that kind of stuff. Of course, I'm not claiming that this process is 100% realistic, it's obviously exaggerated and stylized, but now you at least know what was behind the initial idea of this technique. You can actually observe similar effects used in 3D modeling, where it serves as a kind of general weathered layer or something. I don't know, I'm an analog modeler, not digital. Alright, the surface looks pretty gnarly, but we're not done yet. I'll now add the MRP 4BO paint to the light mixture I used before. This will be our, let's call it, mid-tone. Also, we don't need to apply another layer of chipping fluid anymore. These following steps are just about adding more subtle tonal variations. You can use this paint to fix some mistakes, reduce contrast if you feel like there's too much in some places, although I believe you can never have enough contrast in the initial painting stages, or to just add more tones to the surface. And obviously you have to thin the paint down a lot, like 80% thinner. For the darkest layer I'll use the paint as it is. The advantage of MRP paints is that they are very thin and airbrush ready. If you're using some other brand, again, thin it in that 80-20 ratio or even 90-10 if you'd like. This final layer is there to add more color, but also contrast between individual components of the model. That's why it's best to spray it into corners or just around details in general. The intensity is completely up to you, but the rule of thumb is deeper corners equals stronger contrast. You can also consider it as a layer of less weathered paint, because I'm using the quote-unquote real 4BO now, in which case the placement makes perfect sense, because those are mostly places hidden from frequent foot traffic and other elements that could wear the paint down. After finishing this translucent layer, we can highlight some tiny details. For this I'm using the lightest color from Ammo's Russian Green modulation set. By tiny details, I only mean stuff like bolts, small grab handles, hinges and fuel caps, aka stuff that's too small for an airbrush, which means there's most likely no texture there, and without this brush treatment, they'd look a bit boring. Now, I've shown you on my IS-2 model that sometimes it's important to highlight every detail, but that doesn't work with this technique, as you'd be painting over your beautiful distressed texture. But one rule remains: the bigger the detail, the darker the color. But even the darkest highlight should be still lighter than the base color. And I think this is as big as you should go, because any other detail already has texture on it. And finally, you can seal everything under a nice smooth layer of satin varnish. I think that this is the best of both worlds. It's not overly shiny as a pure clear coat, and not totally flat either. It's just right. This last step is a matter of personal taste, but depending on the color you're after, you might feel like your model needs a filter. This one is absolutely perfect for a Russian 4BO, even though the label says otherwise, but whatever. So yeah, you might want to add a yellow filter or a dark brown filter. It really depends on your personal preference and on the effect you're after. I decided to go with this tone because it nicely blends the distressed and desaturated texture layers with the pure 4BO sprayed around corners. And although many modelers consider filters as the first weathering step, I think they're still part of the initial paint job, and that's why I decided to include them in this video. Okay guys, that concludes tonight's video. Like I said, this technique is all about creating texture and contrast in the basic paint. A lot of this will get toned down later with weathering, and that's exactly why you need to make this effect heavy, because otherwise you'd end up covering it all with oil paints, dust and mud. The intensity of course depends on you. This model, for example, is gonna receive a partially worn winter camouflage, and I think this amount of texture is just right for that. I've already built several KV tanks in the past, so here you can see a comparison between your everyday, ordinary paint job and distressing. Regular paint coat looks like, okay, can't wait to see the weathering, while distressing already looks like you've done a lot of work. Anyway, you decide if you want to give this technique a shot. And let me know in the comments about it. I hope you found this video helpful or at least interesting to watch, and if you did, please give it a like, because every like or comment tells YouTube to promote it to fresh new eyes, which can help other modelers and it helps me to grow this channel. And if you didn't smash that subscribe button yet, do it now to make sure you won't miss out. Because if you enjoyed this video, I think you'll also like the next one about painting a winter camo, which will come out next Friday. Thank you all for watching, I'll see you mates in the next one, and here are some bloopers. For this purpose I use wooden clothespins. For this purpose I use wooden clothespins with a... It'll give you a nice light gray uniform coat and an excellent It'll... adding a few drops of lacquer skin oil and you can completely skip. I'll now add the MRP. I'll now add the and I think this is as you know, just some simple patches of paint, nothing special. I mean, you're not creating an artwork or building a rock. Ugh!